Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the round of 32. I'm joined with Mr. Bepic as our first game of the CCS Championship set to kick off. Maryland, the 3 seed out of the Midwest Regional, takes on number 6 Tennessee from Knoxville, Tennessee. Bepic, how are you doing, man?
Doing good. I'm happy to have a moment of respite from my month of travel. I haven't casted Rocket League, let alone Collegiate Rocket League, in over a month. Last time it was probably pre-jump, the colleague tournament from last month. So I'm happy to be here, Nation. For one night only of nationals, I'm back. And I mean, Maryland, Tennessee should not disappoint.
Not at all. It really shouldn't. I mean, Maryland's a fun team to watch. I've gotten to do a lot of their games this season. When Hexy's on, it's just lights out, game over. Yeah, they're tough to beat.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of been the star power for Maryland, and I mean, Turtle and Waiters are pretty consistent guys when it comes to filling in the gaps around Hexy, and for Tennessee, I mean, I think that's kind of the gap they're going to have to make up if they're going to beat Maryland in this series. They have to have a guy that steps up and can carry a heavier load offensively, and I think Kung can be that guy. I think Howard could definitely be that guy as well. I've not seen a Jeezy pop off, but maybe it's his night tonight during nationals. So Tennessee's battling uphill, but I mean, this is a doable matchup for them. I don't think Maryland is a flawless team by any stretch, and so this could be a scrappy series.
It really could be. And for a Maryland team that dominated the Big Ten tournament without really honest, I don't think they dropped a game outside of that first round matchup that they had. So it's going to be, their hands full situation for Tennessee. And if Maryland's a team that you're not going to beat scoring a lot of goals on, it's just simply not how it works. You're going to be able to hold their offense in near nothing because you're only going to get chances to score maybe 1, 2 goals if you're lucky, maybe 3. But so I think for Tennessee's offense's sake here, their defense has to be perfect to give their offense a chance to win.
I haven't gotten to watch much Tennessee this season. I mean, I've kind of been away from the CCS for the summer, just with traveling for other gigs and taking a little bit of a break from Collegiate Rocket League. And so, I mean, they beat Texas A&M in semifinals of the SEC championship, and played South Carolina closely in the championship game there. And so, even though it was a sweep, I mean, Tennessee is in good form right now based on those results. And so, I'm curious how they look. I think Maryland for me is a bit of a known quantity, though over the summer you never really know what you're going to get from any team in the Collegiate Rocket League space, especially with the state of the game right now. And so I think Maryland, this is their series to lose at this point, but Tennessee can definitely take it from them.
I spoke with Hexy a couple nights ago before this tournament started, and he told me his goal was to go all the way and win. That's what they came here to do. They want to win, and they dominated the Big Ten. And before now, Michigan State will be back in the fall to contest that title. So now they're going to have some more serious competition moving forward. We know Illinois also up there as well, alongside that new Penn State roster that's formed. And Maryland made light work of both those rosters. And Michigan State, that's a big team for the fall. But right now is right now, Bepic. And now they're just 5 games away from a national title. We'll see if they can get it done, as Maryland's got one of the best defenses in the country in CCS alongside Louisiana and Grand Canyon. Like I told you, you don't beat them scoring a lot of goals. So we'll see how Tennessee attacks tonight on the offensive end of this series.
They will defensively as well have to stay together. I mean, that was always this Tennessee team's problem, at least at the sort of for the most part during this season when they weren't at their best. Tennessee did not play as a full unit. They were tripping over each other, and it just looked bad at times. It looked like a collegiate club team playing, which they are. But I think the Tennessee name, you expect a little bit more from the starting lineup, considering the heights that the Volunteers have reached previously. And Maryland definitely hit those same heights. They have that sort of professionalism about them. So that's what I'm watching. Can Tennessee hold it together? And if they can, they'll put up a fight against Maryland here. But if they let Hexy run rampant like this, and they could be in for a world of hurt.
That they could be almost at a near, highlight moment there for Hexy very early on in game 1. But we are underway, though, in the first round of 32 action this season. It's going to be a thrilling tournament. I'm excited to be here, and what a game we have to kick things off.
Actually, he's already kind of styling on the ball a little bit, looking for Turtle in the midfield. And Turtle, one of my favorite veteran presences. He's been competing for such a long time, and he's really a big reason why I like watching this Maryland team. I think everyone will point the finger typically at Hexy for the best reason why you want to watch this Maryland roster compete. But Turtle is so steady, and so that unlocks Hexy and Waiters as well. Such a solid striker when he's on point. And so watching Turtle Turtle facilitate for this Terrapins team tonight is going to be fun if Maryland shows up for this national tournament. Like you said, they're here to win, so I expect they will, but that's a near concession right there.
Maryland's had 2 stellar runs in this tournament as well. Again, they took that national championship appearing Drexel team to Game 7 overtime just 2 seasons ago and had a deep run last spring. So, they've played very well in the playoffs, Bepic, and Tennessee, this is their first tournament for this roster. Before that old UTK roster was here that dominated, went to a Final Four, but now it's Kunk's team to make a run with.
It is, and they always have big shoes to fill. I mean, from the second that this team formed as, the B team, and they weren't a great B team. They had to step up to the Tennessee name, and I think they've kind of come into their own. They've kind of changed the story around the Volunteers from a team that was trying to kind of pull it together at times and just claw decent results out. They've turned into a legitimate threat, like we saw in the SEC tournament. And right now, 2 minutes in, still 0-0, and both sides are getting their licks in.
Absolutely. We've already had a couple of great looks. I told you earlier that the Maryland defense is hard to score on, and Tennessee, if they can keep on this defensive pressure they've got, this could be a long series for both sides.
Jeezy on the ball, staying composed. His speed looks good at the moment, and he was always kind of the player I looked at to see if Tennessee was going to play well as a unit. Jeezy had to look strong on the field, and so far so good, but Maryland, with all of this pressure, it feels like that first one is imminent. Eventually, it's going to fall in, but Volunteers are holding on for dear life at the moment, and they've given Kung a little bit of time to play into the defensive corner with, and he'll get past 2 Maryland players, so now it's Waiter's turn to buy a bit of time in his defensive corner, and he does fairly well, but Jeezy's given a chance to shoot, and Tennessee do score first.
And 2:14 to go, the Volunteers on top, Bepic, just after the first half comes to a close, and Jeezy, you mentioned him not kind of being that player to step up. Well, he stepped up so far here in Game 1. He picks up the first Terrapins trail after 1 half of play.
And that's got to be a kind of sit up in your seat sort of moment for Maryland fans, probably neutral spectators as well, because Tennessee striking first here in Game 1 despite good Maryland pressure all throughout the first half of play is a bit of a surprise. But hey, advantage Tennessee right now, and they're looking for a second.
Absolutely, they are. Their offense already deep into red territory. Bepic, if you remember last season, Maryland's opening round against North Carolina was a midnight kick. It went to Game 7 after trailing 3-1 and came back to win it in advance. So, again, this team has got to play with a lot of fight. So we'll see how the night goes here.
I have got a lot of experience on this roster. I mean, Waiters, I got to watch him play really for the first time at Boost on the Beach earlier this March, and he's a freshman. It was his first LAN, and he showed up, did not display any nerves at all. And the Boost on the Beach venue is not an easy venue to step into, especially for your first LAN, and perform well. And so that's always kind of the idea I have in my mind when I think about Waiters as a player. He doesn't showcase this sort of kind of youthful nerves you might expect in big moments, and that allows Maryland to go on runs like we saw in their conference tournament, and now what I'm sure they're hoping will surface for nationals.
Absolutely. I mean, I hope this game is good. I hope we get a long one here. As again, these two teams have been stellar to watch across the postseason. Bepic and Maryland obviously running through that Big Ten tournament just in dominant fashion over Penn State in 5 and Illinois in 4. So again, they know what it takes to win these bigger games, and Tennessee's up for the challenge early on, it looks like.
And they're killing clocks so well. Waiters has nothing in the tank. Hexy was empty there for a second, but the Terrapins still find a way out, and Turtle finds Waiters in the midfield, but Jeezy's ready for that. He cuts off that Maryland passing play, though it's all for naught, as Maryland still get there clear and put Howard in an awkward spot, though he recovers for a hairline save to keep Tennessee out in front.
17 to go. Maryland out of time here. It's got to be Waiters from the backfield, and to get it clear, we'll find Turtle on the mark just off towards the corner, and it's cleared away. Bepic, Tennessee might have stolen Game 1 here, barring one more chance for Maryland.
Now hold that thought. Hexy off the backboard, set up Turtle for a shot, but it's Waiters that ends up scoring on 0 seconds. How did this ball stay up?
It looked really, really close to the clock. Bepic, Waiters puts it on the ground and rolls just through, man. It looked close on that. I thought it was going to not go all the way in time.
This is insane already. Overtime in game one after it looked like Tennessee had things wrapped up. Maryland, I mean, they've been in position to score all throughout this first game, and Tennessee have had to make a lot of solo defender stops that were pretty darn precarious. But hey, they held Maryland scoreless until that final second, and now the Terrapins have to have some extra energy about them.
When you get that 0-second goal to go to overtime, just so like you take that next step up and play with the fire. That's near hard to put out in an overtime period such as this. And now Tennessee a chance to steal game one from Maryland in what could be a thrilling upset for the Volunteers.
Oh, it's a center ball for Hexy, but Cheesy defending again with great speed is able to prevent Hexy from doing anything that you would expect Hexy to do with a little bit of space and time in the air. Kind of like this. He beats Cheesy the second time, and Hexy signs off on game one for Maryland as they steal that first tick on the board here. What a comeback.
What an effort by Maryland. You mentioned Tennessee running out the clock as well as they have, but Maryland in desperation. Who but Hexy to get this offense going?
I mean, that took everybody to win that game. Maryland had to dig deep there late because I thought, I mean, Hexy set that play up off the backboard on 0 seconds. I thought that once Turtle had missed that read, it was over, but Waiters was playing aggressive. He knew the spot to be in just in case that pass doesn't connect, and I'd have to watch it again to see if it was intentional because I think Turtle was low on boost, but either way, that shows you the kind of offense Maryland plays with. Everyone is ready to make a play at any given moment, and right there, it saved them.
And a 2-1 game, a low-scoring affair here in game one, and I told you the defense, it's, you don't really play in the high-scoring games against a team like Maryland. You just don't. And Tennessee got a full taste of that in game one.
Yeah, I mean, Maryland's defense didn't look completely steady in game one, and I think Tennessee missed out on a couple of opportunities to strike, maybe not expecting the ball to be given to them with as much space as it was a couple of times in the infield, but Maryland definitely will solidify defensively. They've got to be settled in now after that sort of comeback, close to hitting a flow state. I mean, that was a big game one win for Maryland, and now let's see what kind of ramifications that win has on their car language around the field.
I think again, the fire just continues to ignite after a win like that, especially in a comeback effort as late as they saw in game one, and now it's really going to potentially open the floodgates here.
Waiters trying to take a low 50-50 right there or get completely under the defender, but now Turtle's in a weird spot. Low on boost, but gets the job done. Cheesy, same sort of deal. Keeps possession in the name of Tennessee, but low on boost himself. He has to back off, and to Howard to keep that possession for Tennessee. That Maryland is scrapping after the ball here. They still get Waiters in an awkward spot, but he does quite well. Exhausts his boost reserves, but still prevents an immediate counterattack opportunity for Tennessee.
Easy, maybe a look here, and Howard in the backfield will keep this ball alive in red territory, but Waiters with plenty of boost to use will look for a flip reset. Got bumped from a teammate and turned it off to the corner wide left. Bepic and Tennessee unscathed there.
Hexy, if he can get to this ball first, which I didn't think it would be Turtle he was competing with in that race for the ball. I thought something was going to be there for Maryland, but again, they trip over each other just a little bit. So maybe it's not that perfect set of rotations for Maryland that you were hoping for after a thrilling game one win, but still, they're getting opportunities like that one right there, nearly the opener for the Terrapins. But again, Tennessee survived by the skin of their teeth.
And Tennessee had no boost in that situation as well. Maybe now an open opportunity here for Cullen. Couldn't get it by that last defender. Play will continue at 0-0 for now. Bepic almost one half a play gone, and we're still not in a tie game.
Jizzy will have a little bit of room to him in the ball, but Waiters is quick to cut that down. Tennessee are still struggling to break out and stay out of defense, but this is another half chance as Waiters missed there in defense. But Turtle, once again, it's a close stop for Maryland as they don't look completely comfortable defensively just yet, but that's kind of been the story for both teams. I think you can say that about both back lines, and so we've seen a scrappy start to this best of 7, but Maryland so far doing enough to get that first game win and stay afloat here on Forbidden Temple.
That they haven't. I love the pressure that Tennessee's playing with. They're putting Maryland in uncomfortable situations and giving their offenses chances to score. So you have to at least love the looks they're seeing, which it's still early in this series. Plenty of time for adjustments still to come. But you love to see the early effort here in a series like this.
Kung has been fairly quiet so far. Pops that ball off to the side. Waiters will take over from there. Maryland getting back on the front foot here in the offensive zone, but Howard on the near side cuts down any real opportunity for the Terrapins. And Maryland, with this possession right now, they've just about hit 60% field domination here in game 2. They've had the bulk of the time spent in their offensive half, but still no goals to show for. Just 3 shots, in fact, and it's Turtle and Waiters with those 3 shots. Hexy's been held fairly quiet in offense at the moment.
He's done a lot of damage in the midfield, though, which has opened up opportunities like that one, but it's just off the bar. Hexy a rebound, also high. Maybe one more look in front as the Kung miss occurs. Turtle makes it 1-0.
A nice finish. I mean, that probably should have been a goal right there. Waiters just missed on it, but good on Hexy and Turtle salvaging that play to get Maryland first blood. And now it's a 3-goal run for the Terrapins. That's not a major scoring spree just yet, but so far this series has the makings of a low-scoring affair. And so a 3-goal run for any team is going to be significant. Tennessee have to find an answer soon.
Both those goals also, came in a crucial moment back in game 1 to open up a 2-0 run. Now a 3-0 run as G's to the upper corner is good. 1-1, we're tied.
Demo opens things up right now. Tennessee are so annoying to play. Howard there. I mean, that's been a staple of his game in a Tennessee roster since I met the UTK boys. And the first time I met Tennessee was on land probably 3 years ago now, something like that. And the first thing they told me is how much they love their demo plays. And that was, I think, a Joe Bro Shaka Agonize / Howard roster back then. But he still got it. That was a perfectly timed demo. And now Tennessee's back, but Waiters takes that goal away, and Maryland reinstate their lead.
A minute 15, still plenty of time to go, but that's just a classic goal for Maryland. They're using the mechanics to showcase what they can do on the offensive side of this ball game, Beppick, and 75 ticks to play. Tennessee trailing 1, and now a pivotal moment of this series.
I'm glad to see Waiters hitting that sort of a higher skill shot in the face of a defender, hitting a double tap like that. He hasn't seemed like himself so far in this set, just a little bit uncomfortable. But right there, that's a big confidence-inspiring goal to get, and now Maryland add to it. Turtle has 2 goals in game 2, and that's a pair of goals that Maryland have out in front of Tennessee now.
Yeah, both those Tennessee defenders also trying to stagger in the air with boost to, hope that the Maryland player shoots it right at him, but now a lead down to just 2 for Maryland after Tennessee falling behind again in a pivotal moment of this series, Beppick, in game 2, where a 2-0 lead now for Maryland looking all but intact here.
Ooh. And that's a double commit for Tennessee that kind of prevents them from gaining any forward momentum. But it's a little awkward. Calls Waiters into the play. And now alongside Turtle, that's an attempt on net. And GZ got a piece of it. So no fourth for Maryland now. And Tennessee can start a counterattack. They need a goal soon. Obviously, with 30 seconds left, they've got to get this comeback going if it's going to happen in a similar fashion what Maryland did in game 1. As Tennessee, I mean, they were 1 second away from having a game advantage already. And now they could be down 2 games to Maryland in a single elim bracket, but the comeback seems to be kicking off now with a GZ goal.
22 seconds, and there's 1. So they've got time on the clock for a couple looks here, Beppick, if they can win the kickoff and hold on to possession. But we'll see how they play it. 5 goals here in game 2. We'll see if we get a 6th.
Oh, Turtle wins a big 50-50, finds Waiters for a shot, but it never develops as Tennessee get a hold of the ball. Now Hexy off the backboard. He can hit this, and he will. He puts game 2 on ice just as he did the first one. It's 4-2 Maryland with 10 seconds left, and I'm about ready to call this one over.
And Hexy, both times after the goal, Beppick, this team just continues to respond with a goal of their own, 10 to go, a 2-goal lead now back intact for the Terrapins.
Okay, kickoff goal for Tennessee, though, and I'll bite my tongue. I was calling it over, but Tennessee have a bit of life now with 8 on the clock.
And a miscommunication off of a fake there.
Guys. That's bad. You can't afford plays like that in a single elim bracket like this. Maryland have got to settle in with plays like that.
And they're giving Tennessee life. There's off the kickoff, maybe one more. Okay, it is clear. That was almost scary for a second there.
Okay, Waiters gets a hold of that ball, and now Kung's low on boost, but he still dumps a play off to Howard, and Jeezy can get to this before any Maryland defender, so the play's alive for Tennessee, but nothing happens. Maryland close it out in regulation. That's a 2-0 series lead for the Terrapins.
Maryland escaped near Travesty in game 2. Baptist can give a couple of goals that really, at least that third one, third one, yeah, shouldn't have happened off the kickoff. The miscommunication error almost costed them another overtime, but they go on to game 3. It's 2-0.
Yeah, for Maryland looking as clean as they did in the Big Ten tournaments, this feels a bit weird watching Maryland make these sorts of mistakes, like miscommunicating on the kickoff play, or I mean, whiffs in defense especially have allowed Tennessee a couple of opportunities so far in this series. And I mean, Maryland, they have all the makings of form right now that could close Tennessee out, maybe in 4-0 fashion, 4-1 fashion, but without too much hassle. They just can't keep making the same mistakes that are letting Tennessee stay close, and then Tennessee makes a play on their own and really keeps the game close. It's precarious right now for Maryland. They've got to settle in, but same for Tennessee. I think both teams are playing a bit awkwardly.
I mean, you mentioned the scrappiness this series. I think we're kind of also seeing that a little bit here throughout these first 10 minutes. And again, it might just also kind of be the ore and the nerves of the tournament here.
I mean, that's also how Tennessee plays. They've always been a scrappy team, just kind of looking to make up for a lack of top-level mechanics. Like you look at a player like Hexy that he has, with being a team that's greater than the sum of their parts. I think that's always been the story of this version of Tennessee. And so they've used scrappiness and bursts of brilliance on the field to pull off upsets, like the Texas A&M win in the SEC tournament. And so they've always been scrappy. Maryland maybe getting thrown into that sort of series, whether they want to play it or not. But hey, it's how Tennessee plays, and if they can find a way back here, I don't think the scrappiness is going to end.
Not at all. Based on what we've seen the first 10 minutes, I think, if they can continue this fight, eventually Maryland, will let them back in this series. If they make the mistakes, I'm sure they're going to be capitalized on, unlike last game. But again, if Maryland gets settled in, this could be a long night. It's a big save for Waiters, keeps the Terrapins unscathed.
This is brilliant from Tennessee, though. A couple of great passes, but Maryland hold it together, and they didn't have a whole lot of boost. They still don't have a lot of boost to hold it together, but Hexy secures that corner 100. Now Kung towards the midfield 100 does grab it before Hexy or Turtle grabs it, but Maryland still find a way out, and it was a scary first minute that the Terrapins just survived, and that's going to be a blessing going forward.
It absolutely is, and their defense, when it gets these desperation kind of moments, they can step up when they need to, and we look at Hexy, but he's gotten a lot of help out of Waiters tonight.
Up to the side, Waiters is scrapping with Jeezy here, but it's a center ball that finds nobody for the Terrapins, and now Tennessee find themselves another opportunity in the offensive zone. Howard doubles off the backboard, but no one's biting on that early. Turtle hangs in net and leads to a half clear for Maryland, as they've been playing a lot more defense this game, but they do seem ready for these Tennessee opportunities, and that's a bit of a step up from what we've seen so far.
The demo's starting to come too for Maryland here. They can find another way to compete with the demos, and you're giving Tennessee a taste of their own medicine a little bit.
Hexy's had a couple of big demos in this series, but 2 so far in the first minute and a half or so is definitely a step up for him. So maybe a slight change, giving Tennessee a bit more space, but they don't have the manpower to work that space, then it's not going to matter. But hey, there's the opener. Jeezy finds another goal. He's having himself a series.
Yeah, he is. He heard you in the pregame, telling him to step up. He's done just that tonight. 2:54 to go, with down their second first blood of the series, and it's a 1-0 volunteer lead.
And I love that Jeezy is playing with this sort of form in this national tournament bracket, because when I first started watching this roster, he was kind of the more consistent weak link of the trio, and he's obviously been grinding. He looks phenomenal, and I love that, because this team I know wants to win, and I know their support structure wants them to win. The players of old Tennessee rosters are still always propping this team up, giving them tips, and making sure that they can be the best version of themselves, and I think that's starting to show itself in results like what they've gotten so far this season in CCS, and if they can pull a couple of game wins off against Maryland, it will continue to show itself.
It's 2 minutes and 15 seconds left to go. Hexy trying to connect with Turtle there, couldn't quite, as 2 minutes and change remain, and Game 3, trailing by 1 as Maryland Devil in front. The rebound couldn't go. Tennessee will hold on to the 2-minute warning to a 1-0 lead.
Center ball for Howard. He beats Turtle up in the air. Waiters misses in defense again. And that's more of a routine read for him. But still, Hexie is able to force a 50-50 on the goal line. That is the first step in getting Maryland out and equalizing the game. And that just sums up this series right there. A near catastrophic failure in defense for Maryland turns into a quick hit over the top of GZ and Kung, and we are level again.
That we are. 146 off a 1-2 punch from Maryland. Gets us back to equilibrium just north of 100 seconds to go here in Game 3. And if Tennessee could win this game, this series has been flipped over. If Maryland win, it's potentially lights out, Bepic.
Hexie has a bit of control, but Howard stays in his face, and Hexie, despite that, sets up Turtle for another play. Into the corner, he locates Hexie, the duo going back and forth, forcing everybody to miss, and giving Waiters a completely empty alley to that orange net. What just happened?
Looks like a whole bunch of players just missed and opened up the net. I think that was at least 3 or 4 people there in that one challenge. They all missed the ball.
Well, you no matter how much you iron, you can't always get every single wrinkle out of your shirts. And I think Tennessee going back to their old ways just a little bit right there. Very awkward defense. Everybody committing on the near side, and that's a rough one to give up. But they're still in this game. I mean, same with Maryland right now. They need to keep the pressure up because they have opportunities to potentially get very close to closing out this set. I mean, we all know what a 3-0 scoreline means in a best of 7. Maybe it's of less significance in the CCS nation. We've seen some reverse sweeps, but Maryland need goals like that.
Only has happened 4 times. It's already happened once this season. We've had 1 in each season for the last 4 seasons. So odds are they're stacked against Tennessee right now if they do drop this one. But again, there have been 2 in the tournament, so have happened at the national tournament.
Well, Hexie's trying to kill time now. A minute left. Tennessee had a go at the comeback in Game 2. They were in the same position. Final minute, down by 2. And Maryland looked a little sketchy, but they got themselves out of that spot, and they got the game win. And at this point in the season, that's what matters. In a single elim bracket, just find ways to win. It doesn't matter how you do it. Just survive and advance. And Maryland, so far, so good. 2 goals in front, 30 seconds left. Just a little bit more time killing left to do.
I believe they were down 1 in the last minute at 1-0, and they tied it in 2-1 in overtime. I believe back in Game 1.
Yeah, I'm talking about Game 2. It was 3-1 in the final minute.
Yeah. You said Game 1, so I was like confused for a second. 15 seconds left here, though, in Game 3, and Tennessee needs something now or never to have a chance to fight for a Game 3 win. But Bepic, there might be the dagger right here as Kung gets beat 4-1.
And we don't have the same sort of theatrics that we got on Forbidden Temple. Maryland closed this out, no problem. The 3-0 series lead is about as close to safe as you can get, but we'll see what sort of magic Tennessee can conjure up going forward. As right now, this series is firmly in control of Maryland, and those backs are up against the wall.
That they are, and this ball going to be... They want one more here on make it 5-1. They get the dunk. Couldn't get the fall. 4-1 your final. On to Game 4. Maryland on match point.
And Hexie does that without a shot on target. I mean, Maryland do that without Hexie getting a shot on target. It's not Hexie pulling all the strings here. That was, again, a great showcase of what Maryland can do as a unit, holding it together defensively, hitting hard in counterattack mode, as Tennessee had the bulk of field domination that game. They spent the majority of the time in offense, but the score line, you wouldn't assume that, but Maryland hit so hard in counterattack mode as a unit. Tennessee just could not stop those transitions to offense.
Not at all. And again, in a reversely situation, again, it's game by game. I've gotten to call 2 of the 4 that have happened in CCS back when Nebraska did it to Purdue and California did to South Carolina 2 seasons ago in the tournament. So again, I've gotten to see it happen, but again, it's very rare and far and few between, Bepic. And I think here tonight, Tennessee needs to take another couple notches up if they're going to have a chance to pull it off.
Especially if they're going to pull it off against a team like Maryland, who I don't think is a program that will be prone to the sort of mental slippage that would lead to a best of 7 reverse sweep. I just don't see Maryland as a team with the experience competitively that Turtle and Hexy have, especially. I just don't see them getting reverse swept. I mean, Tennessee, they could do something insane. I think their scrappiness could lead to Maryland faltering in a game or two, but for 4 consecutive, I'm not a believer just yet. I think I have a lot of faith in Maryland to close this out.
Yeah, I mean, again, I got to watch it almost happen a couple weeks ago back at Fox when St. Thomas and South Dakota went head-to-head and got the Game 6 overtime, and unfortunately just fell short of it. You look at the defense to step up. That's the first part of a reverse sweep in a best of 7. Your defense to hold off as near perfect as you can and let your offense have a chance to win. It's right now Maryland scoring far too much for Tennessee's defense to handle.
That's a good point. 8 goals conceded in the last 2 games by Tennessee, and you really can't win games when you're giving up 4 on the other side. There's just no way, especially 4 in a row. So Tennessee, we'll see what they do to step up. A lot of it's communication, a lot of it's composure, especially when Maryland is hitting as hard as they are in counterattack mode. But hey, holding the possession is a decent way to slap a bandage on that wound, and Tennessee's doing a decent job of it. They're not developing immediate opportunities, but it's not leading to moments where they're having to play off their back line.
Not at all. You might win one of those types of games in a reverse sweep where, you just dominate offensively, but you're not going to do it 4 times in a row consecutively. It's that one off the post and a big look taken away for the Tennessee defense.
And now Howard will clear. Kung can't go up for this, but he will chase. Turtle has the advantage, though, with boost in his tank, though. Tennessee have flipped the field. That ball's over Turtle's head. And a chance to shoot for Kung. Instead, he sets up Howard, and off the crossbar, that opportunity goes, forced by Hexy. I think it was a defender in the area. That's another great defensive moment for Maryland. And despite low resources, close shaves, Maryland once again survive.
This defense has really started to settle in, Bepic, and they've made strides in Game 3 and now here in Game 4. A couple of scary chances, and their defense has come away with big saves time and time again.
Next chance for the Volunteers, though. Jeezy off the ceiling, locates Howard, but that play took too long to develop, so Maryland again get in the way of a passing play. Find it clear, and will get out unscathed. Hexy off the sidewall is stopped by Kung, but he gets the last laugh. A little extra touch to set up Waiters now off the sidewall. And slowly but surely, Maryland are creeping forward, and that play does end in an opener for the Terrapins, 1-0.
I just felt like their goal was imminent. Their offense was starting to build pressure. Tennessee all of them had no boost, so it just felt like that goal was about to happen, whether it was that moment or a couple seconds later, as their offense cleans it up 1-0 with 2:57 to go.
And Hexy in the corner now forgoes the ball, lets Turtle slam it downfield and chase it. That's the right play. Now Hexy has plenty of boost to follow up on. Again, it's a full unit play out of Maryland there. Communication to set up Turtle for the clear, and then Hexy following it up well. Now off the sidewall, it's Hexy and Turtle again, combining for a chance that is stopped by Howard at the very last second, but the Terrapins are heating up.
That they are. You can really realistically only give up one more if you're Tennessee here. You're not going to. I don't think they're going to be able to score 3 to hang with Maryland in a game like this. It's got to be now or never for this offense to come alive here soon.
Shot on target, nearly. Oh, it does. It does catch Jeezy out, and I thought he was able to turn on this, but just a half step behind now as Howard and Kung are looking awkward there as the ball descends over their heads, and Maryland are fast enough to capitalize. It's a nice shot by Waiters.
Absolutely nice shot it is, and now 2-0. That's the last goal Tennessee can concede here. Now their offense has to come alive to hold on and give their defense a chance to hold off Maryland for 2 more minutes.
Well, 2 shots so far for Tennessee, despite what was 60% field domination about 45 seconds ago before Maryland's offense started cooking in that orange end. So now for the Volunteers, it's another attempted passing play that Turtle cuts out. Hexy chases down, and it's the same play for Maryland with Turtle and Hexy commanding the midfield, and Waiters just waiting for his moment to strike here. That's a dime of a pass, and Howard's ready to make the save, but Maryland used that to propel themselves forward to another good-looking opportunity, and this is just limiting Tennessee's ability to counter now because they don't have the resources to move downfield effectively because they're spending them all defending.
And it also goes to the presence of this Maryland offense that has been lethal for the last 10 minutes of this series. Epic and Tennessee getting a full taste of that Maryland defensive pressure.
Now Howard, it's only good for one touch. Waiters is there for another shot. A double dunk on target and in. Maryland are scoring in every fashion right now. This is actually an insane dunk, as Kong, I'm sure, thought he had that cleared with an extra touch off the backboard, but Waiters had other ideas.
This Maryland offense, it's just storybook to watch, and they really could go far in this tournament, Epic. They really could. If this roster's playing as well as they are right now, with getting help from Turtle and Waiters, and a save is made and cleared wide, the Maryland defense comes away with another big one.
Maryland can't afford the same mistakes that they were making earlier on in this series, especially on defense against a team like Iowa State or South Carolina, really. One or the other can exploit those, I think, a bit better than what Tennessee was doing to start off with. And so Maryland will have to take another step forward. But hey, like I said, the objective is to survive and advance. And Maryland, it doesn't feel like survival, considering it is a 4-0 sweep if this result holds, and the commanding way that they're likely going to win Game 4. But for a minute there, I think Tennessee fans were thinking this team was going to go the distance with the Terrapins. But Maryland started taking over, and if they can erase some of those awkward moments, Nation, we could see a deep run from Maryland.
It is the Cyclones. Those two met back in week 1, and Iowa State got the better of them in 4. So again, they have played this season, so it could get a rematch, and Maryland's got revenge on their minds. But it's going to be the Terrapins advancing to the round of 16 after a 4-0 shutout of Tennessee in the first round.
I see Waiters going for that psycho right there, and I think that tells you the story of how Game 1 felt. I mean, or Game 4, rather, felt. Maryland stepped up big time. They looked so solid, and Tennessee couldn't do much against that household defense that you were propping up at the start of this series, Nation. That was a great closeout game out of the Terrapins, and they're moving on, top 16.
That they are. We'll see them next Friday, August 1st, in the round of 16 against either South Carolina or Iowa State. Patrick, I guess I'm going to ask you here and now. Picture that Iowa State-South Carolina game. Who's Maryland going to play on Friday?
Ooh, I mean, I should back Iowa State with their form and their ability, but South Carolina right now look really good. I think Ogg in the last 2 series South Carolina played, he averaged 2 goals per game against this Tennessee team in the SEC championship. He averaged 1 goal per game against a Florida roster with K-Frost have looked very good this season. So I'll take my South Carolina boys. I'll say they win in 6.
I'll pick. I think it's going to be one of those 6 or 7 kind of game scenarios if South Carolina really do come to play that night. But again, we'll have to wait and see how that one occurs. But I'm going to pick Iowa State in 7 just to go against you. But we'll see. It's going to be a fun one. I'm excited. It's Maryland. Our first winner tonight is later on in the night, 11 Eastern. Arizona takes on California in a 2-7 game in the West Regional. We'll see you guys there. Hope to see you tonight. Thanks for watching. See y'all later.